Republicans are terrible at public safety when they're not committing crimes themselves, which this president does all the time by all indications. When they're not doing that, they are endangering their people. And yet, for some silly reason, that is not a message that my Democratic Party has been able to get across. Well, here it is. We do not need an invasion led by an insurrectionist who is a 34-time convicted felon who's violating the Constitution. We do not need an invasion of a city, and Philadelphia is that city, that is enjoying a more than 50-year low in homicides, that had a record year last year and is doing better and better and better. And that is basically going on with all of these Democratic, largely majority minority cities that are led by mayors of color. That is what's going on with all of these cities. It is totally unacceptable, and I certainly will do everything in my power to tell them if they're going to F around, they're going to find out.
So tell us what the find out stage would look like. I mean, what you are able to share. Let's just say he targets Chicago next, which is what the plan seemed to suggest, but then comes to Philadelphia after that, or who knows, maybe he comes to Philadelphia next, this time not selling golden sneakers for $499, but putting the military on the streets. What do you do about that? How do you fight that, both with legal authority, moral authority, and just the power of the people?
Well, thank you for raising moral authority, because we don't talk about it enough. We basically say, what can he get away with? That is how depraved our public discourse has become about the president of the United States. What can he get away with as he keeps moving the goal line when it comes to the Constitution, when it comes to the laws, with his hack Supreme Court? And yes, he has at least 4 hacks on that Supreme Court. We're hoping it isn't 5. So we do need to talk about morality and not just law, but it's very clear this is completely illegal. The president does have the ability to mess around more in DC than he does in the states. And that is because of the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which specifically says that he cannot commandeer local law enforcement to do whatever crazy thing he wants to do. He cannot force local law enforcement to go after immigrants, for example. That is work for a federal agency known as ICE. So we're going to go to the courts. We still have courts. Sorry, President Trump. And we are going to bring it to them the same way California has brought it to them, that this is an illegal invasion in many different ways, that it's completely unacceptable. But we have another very important tool, and I want the public to hear this, and I want them to understand that you are not alone. And that important tool is called state prosecution. The president of the United States has zero ability to pardon someone who is convicted in state court. This is why he has not pardoned himself for being convicted in state court of 34 felonies by my, I would say reform prosecutor colleague in Manhattan. This is why he hasn't done that. So if what you have is a group of ICE agents, or you even have the military coming into Philadelphia and they're committing crimes, they're committing assaults that are illegal, homicides that are illegal, they're kidnapping people, they're engaging in unlawful restraint, which is a crime in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they're obstructing the administration of justice. If you have people coming in, military, ICE, whoever it is, acting beyond their legal authority, they can be prosecuted, assuming they commit crimes, in state court. And they cannot be pardoned by the president, which means they get to tell a Philadelphia jury exactly why it is that they thought they could invade this city, and they get to bear the consequences, whether they are handcuffs, a jury trial, or a jail sentence. That's what they get to bear. I ain't backing down. Frankly, I'm a little tired of some of my, elected Democratic colleagues for not standing up, but I really do want to commend those profiles in courage. We've seen Governor Pritzker organize a group of governors to resist this fascistic nonsense. We've seen the mayor of the city of Chicago, who has never flinched from standing up. We got Gavin Newsom in California standing up these days a bit. We need to applaud that. We need to stand up. We need to be on the right side of history. And if it means a short trip to jail, so be it. For me, I've been there before. I don't mind.
Talk to us about that as well, because for me, as a non-political person who stepped into this space, we've always been trying to call out Donald Trump as we saw him, which is fascist. We would say, hey, these quotes sound an awful lot like Nazi Germany, what he's saying. And then whether it was corporate news or politicians, they would say, whoa, 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 you can't go there. You can't say those things. Like, you've never held back. we've seen so many in whether it was politicians or especially corporate news just normalize this behavior, which wouldn't fly in any organization, nonprofit, big corporation, medium size, yet alone the presidency. I mean, just the way he behaves on a day-to-day basis, not to mention his criminal conviction, the civil judgments against him and all of that. But it does seem that there is right now, in late August, after the summer, a bit more of a drive by Democrats or just people to say enough and fight back. So that gives me hope. What do you make of this moment?
You know, what I make of the moment is that it is time for courage. And if your elected officials, Democrat or Republican, don't have it, then vote them out. We need to have Americans who are in elected office who stand up for America, who stand up for democracy. The phrase is, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Well, make no mistake, Donald Trump, just like Adolf Hitler, is at war with equality. The words coming out of his mouth, the endorsement by the Ku Klux Klan, the white supremacists that seem to be in every nook and cranny of wherever he goes. These people do not believe in equality. It is America's most fundamental principle. So whether you are a voter, whether you are someone outside of politics or you're an elected official, stand up. History is watching. We need to be on the right side of history here.